and welcome to another edition of Potluck, your everything and anything talk and entertainment TV show. Today we have two wonderful guests joining us who are part of the Anacostia Playhouse in Washington, D.C., where they will be showing a trilogy of one-act plays called the Red High Heel Trilogy from January 15th through the 24th. So please welcome to the show the writer and director of the Red High Heel Trilogy, Director Jim Girardi, Director Jim Girardi, and the writer Harrison Murphy. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How are you guys doing?
It's been a good day. Super. Super.
Great. So, so before we start talking about the actual play, let's talk a little bit about what each of you both do, as far as like theater is involved. So, so Harrison, so how long have you been a writer, and what made you write this trilogy?
I've been writing my entire life, and so in this particular case, I wrote this first play back in the mid-'90s, and then the other two plays I wrote subsequently, and you know, I write them because I feel compelled to write them. That's, I guess, why I write them.
Okay, and for you, directing, have you always been a director?
Oh God, I don't. Yeah, I mean.
Do you dabble into other things, like,
in the theater?
Like writing, or you know?
No, I don't write, but I do special effects and sound and lighting and other things, and direct sometimes. And Harrison had written these plays, and we were talking about it, and he said, "Would you want to direct them?" And I said, "Sure." So we read them and changed some things around and kept some things the same, and it worked out that. Okay. That's what we're doing.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the theater, Anacostia Playhouse. This is located obviously at Anacostia. And how long has the theater been in place? Because I don't hear much about this theater.
It's a new theater. It's only been open for a little over a year.
Okay.
It's at 2020 Shannon Place.
Okay.
And it's owned by a lady named Adele Roby. She and her husband had the H Street Theater for many years.
Okay, yes.
And for one reason or another, they had to shut that down, and her husband died. He passed away.
Oh, no.
And so she opened this. She got some grant money, not a lot, but she got some grant money. And it's a beautiful space right now. It's a black box that you can put chairs on 3 or 4 sides, or one side, or however. It's a great lighting panel, great sound system. And she's been full for over a year.
Oh,
and
wow.
a lot of the plays are new plays, not just things that people are bringing in and, you know, putting on. It's not like Sound of Music or anything like that's going on. These are new plays. So this Harrison's plays fit right into what she wants to do, a new theater doing new work.
Now, have the other plays been written by local,
some
writers, or
some have?
Some, okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the Red High Heel Trilogy. So, what is it about?
Okay.
From when you first started the play, what changes have occurred, and have you exceeded your expectations?
Well, the trilogy is really 3 one-act plays. Mm-hmm. The first play is called The Bar, and it's a short play. It's a 10-minute play, and it involves a story about a man in a midlife crisis who's really had a bad day. His wife has thrown his stuff in the driveway. She wants him gone. He's lost his job on the same day. So things are not going well for him. And so he's at a bar, and he meets these 2 other characters who try to both help him and maybe ridicule him for his plight. And so what we're trying to experience there is, you know, putting yourself in his position, and what would you do, and how would you react to this kind of really bad situation.
Okay.
The second play is called Vignettes.
Okay.
And of course, a vignette is a small portrait, and so Vignettes is a kind of voyeuristic play. It's set in in an airport lounge, where all of us have been in airport lounges, in airport waiting areas for years, and so you get to listen in on the conversations, these 5 or 6 different conversations that are going on all simultaneously, and you get to kind of think about them, and you find yourself judging them based on your preconceived notions of who people are and what they're like, and so what happens is you find yourself identifying with some and not liking others, and natural human reaction. And the third play is called The Blue Box, and the premise of The Blue Box is that a marine geologist finds a blue box at the end of a tunnel under the Red Sea, and inside the box is the answer to whether God exists or not.
Okay.
And so the play is about kind of a courtroom battle between an atheist and a theist and scientists who are debating what should he do with this box. Should he open it in front of the world media, or should he bury it back at the bottom of the ocean?
Okay. Well, great. Those all sound very interesting. So was that your intent from the start, or have you made changes to each of the storylines?
Well, the process was very interesting. We went into this in a very open way with the actors, and we explained to them that we were open to making changes and altering the lines and changing some of the viewpoints, so to make it as interesting as possible for the audience, and to get as good as strong a connection with the audience as possible, because these plays are about the audience.
Okay.
The plays happen in the mind of the audience, really. I mean, we're not supplying the answers here for people. This is not pre-mixed, pre-made theater where you go and everybody gets married at the end and everybody's happy. This is about making you examine your relationship with your religion, or your lack of religion, or examining your relationship with other people. How do you interact with other people? Why do you think the way you do?
Okay.
What makes you think the way that you do that results in your perspective on life?
Right. Okay, so this trilogy would be something to maybe do a Q&A at the end with the audience?
Yes, we actually
it's going to make people like think about what's going on and relate it to themselves.
And
so
actually,
forth.
we have talkback hosts who are coming for each evening. And we have secular humanists, we have astrophysicists.
Oh, wow.
We have philosophy professors. We have people who will lend their kind of perspective and also solicit the responses from the audience, because it's really a contemplative experience. It's meant to make you think, and so we want the talkback host to play that role, to facilitate that discussion and see where, if anybody has become a little more elastic in their way of thinking than they were when they walked in the place.
Okay, I see.
And hopefully they'll ask those questions, meaning, how did this work for you? How did it change you? Did it change you? What was going on? And maybe some of them will say, yeah, I thought this way before, but wow, this opened that up. Or they'll go,
sure,
no, you guys are so messed up. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with that, and that's the discussion. So we're excited about that.
So with the actors that are in these trilogies, have you asked them? Has their mind opened up for any of this between any of the stories? Have you, or do you have not asked them that?
Well, Harrison, this is a unique situation in that when you do a play, you get a book, you get a script, and you read your lines, and the director directs this or directs that, and they regurgitate what's there, and there's some room for interpretation. But these are fresh plays. There's nothing ever been done with these. And so there's nothing to compare. Somebody can't say, oh, I saw the blue box before, and this is a little different. No, it's never been done.
Right.
And so when Harrison wrote this, his thing, when we even interviewed the actors for their auditions, we said, you guys are going to have to let us know what you're thinking. You got a relationship going here. Does it work?
Right.
Doesn't it work?
Right.
And several times they've said something and Harrison's gone back and rewritten it to make it better, so that they have a way of interacting so that the audience can join in with them.
Right.
So it's been really, that's why it's unique. This is
we
brand
really
new.
we've also tried to think about it from the audience member's perspective, really, to try to make it as interesting as possible for them and to elicit the kind of response that we're looking for, because this is really a play that's designed to make people think after the show and on the way home, and maybe the next day they're thinking still about what it was that they saw, and maybe they're bothered by something, or maybe they still think something is funny, or but it's about the impact that we can have on the audience.
Okay, do you think that there would be any negative impact? Like, what if somebody's really affected by something that has happened and they let you know at the end of the show during the Q&A?
I
guess anything is possible,
Anything's
right?
possible. That is right. That is right.
One of the things that is interesting for me is that but will they come back? In other words, if they come the first night or they come the second night and they go, what the heck was that? Or, how did that work? I thought about it on the ride home, and maybe this is this, and they come back and they get a second take. So that would be really interesting if people come back a second time, knowing where the twists are in the plot, and being able to deal with it.
Okay.
Because it's about the surprises.
Okay.
There are surprises.
There are surprises.
Oh, good. Surprises are good. So now you guys have a very unique show that you're going to have starting on the 15th, where it's not just theater, but it's also film. So you've combined the two. So can you explain, since you're the special effects person?
Well, we thought there was, when Harrison and I were talking about it at first, we thought, we don't know how to focus the audience on what's happening at this one spot, because if you're sitting there, you're sitting here. And we thought, well, what happens if it's on a video screen? And everybody sees the same thing, and we can do the same thing night after night with that effect, and see what the audience does. So we're going to have video throughout at least plays 2 and 3, where we're setting the background, we're setting some what we call focus material, where they're going to do something, and boom, we're right there with them. And meanwhile, stuff's going on the stage, but we're going to let the audience see exactly, specifically what we want them to see for what's happening.
Okay. And will the actors get in the way of like the screen, the film?
Think of that.
I mean, that's just an obvious question.
It'll be above them, but it's interesting, this kind of multimedia approach to theater, to because we're so used to watching television, we're so used to interacting with the television screen. So what we're going to do is shift the audience attention back and forth between the live action and the video, and do some things that we wouldn't necessarily otherwise be able to do in theater, because we're going to use some video for that purpose. So, so it's just a different kind of approach, overall to this whole to the trilogy, and which is why people need to come see it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the play 3, I'll say this without hopefully letting the cat out of the bag. Play 3 is a dream sequence, meaning that it takes place where the guy who found the blue box is on an airplane. And so that is filmed, and he's interacting on the phone and stuff. And all of a sudden, he's now in a courtroom.
Okay.
And so what happens in there, what happens in a normal dream? Some things follow, some things don't. It works to your favor, but then it ends up with a dream again. So we want people to know that this guy is so concerned with what the outcome is. Does he make the choice? Does he not make the choice to show it? But all this happening is what he imagined.
Okay.
So we think it's very cool that we're doing this. And again, when you're on stage sometimes and you do a dream sequence with the lights, but it's still them on stage.
Special effects guy, right? That was a special effect.
It was, and that's extra for that. Okay, but this is going to be on a screen with them in the plane, and then it goes to the real actors doing real things. So we're excited about it. I mean, I'm excited about making this work, and We'll see.
And there's probably nobody else out there that's ever done something like that. I mean, I've seen plays where they have like a little video clip on the stage, but I have not seen like where it's like interacting with like the story.
Yeah, I think
like
I think it's definitely different. And these plays are different. This is, you know, this is not a musical. This is this is a contemplative experience, and hopefully it's an experience for the audience that they take home with them and they think about it, and it allows them to expand their understanding of themselves, because that's what our goal is. And we can get them to understand themselves better, because, you know, deep down we're all human beings, and we think that we're so different from one another. You know, in today's world, we're it's, you know, red and blue states, and right and left, and but really, you know, we're a lot more alike than we're disalike. And so what we're trying to do here is get people to understand that the way you think has a lot to do with your neurobiology, the way your brain works, the way your body works, and it affects the way you see everything, whether it's your religion or whether it's your relationships with other human beings. It's all about the way your mind works. And so if you can start to identify the way your own mind works, then you might be able to start to see yourself from a different perspective.
Okay.
And understanding yourself a bit more. And of course, it's not going to happen overnight. It's
right.
It's a lifetime thing. But maybe this is a chance to have that. People have that kind of experience when they go through a crisis. Someone dies, or someone gets very ill, or something like that. But what we're trying to do is recreate that feeling by doing it through the mechanism of a play.
And in the second play, there's relationships that we are listening to as the fly on the wall, so to speak, and they're different. There's a grandfather and a grandson. The grandson doesn't give a damn about the grandfather until he starts talking about certain things, and then they bond. There's a father and a daughter. The daughter's going off to college. The father is a teacher. Very little relationship until he understands that he's been messing up his daughter by teaching her as opposed to being a father to her. And we've got other relationships, husband and wife. We've got a lawyer and a backpacker. And the whole thing is that they start impacting each other in a certain way. The daughter, whose father is like checklisting things for her, says, "Dad, this is why I'm going away 1,500 miles to another college." Because you're doing all that stuff. And so in the end, we hope that there's some sort of evolution, some sort of redefinition of the relationships, and hopefully the audience gets that, and we've made it kind of clear.
and also, you know, in crises, sometimes it's hard for you to gain perspective, and I think the first play is about gaining perspective, trying to understand what's happened. Because a lot of times, you know, when something happens, you don't really have a chance to think about why did it happen, you know. And in the bar, for example, you know, the older gentleman is talking to the middle-aged gentleman, says, you know, my wife and I, we were like coconuts floating in the ocean, and every day we drifted a little bit apart, and with nothing to take your bearings by, you hardly noticed the drift. Then one day an entire ocean separates the two of you. And that happens to people every day. And sometimes it's hard to recognize that it's actually going on in your life until some crisis happens, and then you realize,
ouch,
you know what, there's a whole ocean that separates the two of us. And so, you know, so hopefully this kind of thing will get people to think about their lives and think about themselves and the way maybe they judge other people with their preconceived notions of who people are, and then of course examine those deep-seated, you know, fundamental pillars of your personality, your religion, the way you view your relationship with God, or your lack of a relationship with God, or
other people.
And so that's kind of what it's about. It's about examining yourself by watching other people and understanding the way they think and hopefully that's the impact we have on the audience.
Okay. Now, have you had an impact on yourselves?
That's a good question.
Well,
Or have the actors, any of the actors, have they said anything? So, but yeah, let's start with you, Jim, first. They put you on the spot.
No, well, no, but it's interesting because when you direct it, you're less worried about yourself than you are about how it's being worked. The almost to a person, the cast has come to us and said that was a really good audition. They hadn't ever been auditioned the way we auditioned them.
Okay.
And so they like that. We were very honest with them up front about the fact that it's a new kind of play, a new thing with multimedia going on. Most of them wanted to be part of that, so that's very cool. Actually, they all wanted to be part of it. So, have I changed? I dislike Harrison a little bit more, but no. Well, but I think it's been very cool, and I mean, when you direct, I've directed before, so it's not a big deal. It's just but it's neat. I can't wait to sit back and watch it.
Right.
And say
that's the great experience. For me, that's the great experience.
Okay.
You know, because you create these characters and you create them from nothing, and then one evening you sit down and the things you created are right there in front of you.
Right.
Yeah.
And it really is different to watch it than when you write it or when you read it. You know, it's to yourself. Because when you're writing something, you're really reading it to yourself, and you're like, well, how does that work? And it's very interesting. You know, the audience laughs at times when you don't think they're going to laugh, or they you know, the audience, the live audience is just a great extra factor that you just, you know, unexpected things happen. And I think that's really what I think Jim and I are anticipating is, what are the reactions going to be from the audience to what's going on? Because there are twists and there are surprises, and when it happens, the question is, what kind of reaction are we getting from these people? Because it's about their reaction. It's not about Jim and me, really. It's about the audience, and that's why they need to come down and be part of that.
Okay.
And we had some of our tech crew hadn't been there for a while because they were doing other things, and they sat in the other night, and what we thought was funny, they were laughing at, which I was going, phew.
That's always good.
That's really good. So that was reinforcing what was going on there. The other thing I want to throw out about the first play, which is really interesting, we all ask ourselves, what if I had done that, or what if I had done that? Would that impact me? Would I be a different person? And play one comes right together with what if.
Okay.
And it's a real cool scenario.
Now, which of the three plays have you done before?
The Bar.
The Bar.
The Bar was performed at Source Theater back in the mid-'90s, and as part of the 10-minute play competition that used to be there, and it was then done in the lobby of the National Theater. So the first play has been done before.
Okay.
And so it acts as kind of the little anchor of the beginning of our show.
And how is the reaction to that play? I mean,
it was well received.
It
was well received before, and because it's a thinking person's play.
Okay.
You know, I don't write musicals because I don't write music, but what I like to write is things that make people think.
Okay.
And because, you know, I think that in the end, thinking about yourself and thinking about your place in the universe, you know, and for example, the third play is about the source of the you know, the origin of the universe. Is a debate about quantum mechanics and the astrophysics and the beginning of time and discussion about all of that. So if you're into, you know, if you like to watch Cosmos or you like or you like that kind of stuff, this is the kind of play that you should come to see.
Okay.
We got you covered.
Great. Well, we're running out of time, so for people to find out more information about the play, they can go to
AnacostiaPlayhouse.com.
.com.
Do you want to spell Anacostia just in case? ANACOSTIA
Playhouse.
It's all one word.
Dot
no
org.
All
com.
one word.
Or dot com.
.com.
.com.
.com. Okay.
Anacostia Playhouse.
And,
.com.
And it would be under the Red High Heels trilogy.
Okay.
And the tickets are available. There's a and there's a discount for seniors and students.
Students, okay.
Also.
Okay. And the Anacostia Metro is close by, so it's not like it's way out there, and people are always. Like when I thought of Anacostia, I always think, oh, it's kind of a sketchy area, but it's actually not.
This is
actually a very
gentrifying
decent
area part of Anacostia. The Playhouse itself is fantastic.
Oh, great.
Again, it's part of this preconceived notions, right?
Right.
So you got to challenge yourself on
Yep.
this. It's not what you expect.
Okay.
And I think that if you go there, you'll find out it's not what you expect, and the plays will be different.
Well, I look forward to it and going to see your show.
Fantastic.
So thank you so much for joining us, and we will. And if you're just joining us now, please make sure to catch us on the web at www.potluck-online.org, and we will see you next time. Make sure you check out the
Red High Heel Trilogy.
Red High Heel trilogies. Bye-bye.